Hello, so right now I want to talk about duality and how people always have the option to choose. And what's happening right now is not necessarily unfair. Believe it or not, this is what the people chose. Believe it or not. Once again, I'm outside, so you're going to hear people coming in and out, and I might get quiet a little bit. But believe it or not, this is what people agreed to without saying it out their mouths, without completely saying it out their mouths. Everything that's happening right now is what people agreed to. I spoke about Tony, this YouTuber named Tony Lynn. He's just one among many people who have been trying to expose the truth about the effectiveness and what's really going on with that, the VAX. I'm not against anybody who really feel like they want to get it. But if the truth is in front of you, and I get people feel like they have to comply because depending on the system all your life, and all of a sudden they pull something like this, it's hard to just kind of rebel all of a sudden. And I'm talking about just get to a point where you say, well, I ain't going to do none of that stuff. I get that you have to prepare. I said in 2020, that was a time for people to start rebelling spiritually. And rebelling spiritually, what I mean by that is, number one, getting knowledge, accepting the truth, and finding out, use your discernment to see what the truth is, and probably give more. If people would have gave more of their attention and energy to the truth, then this right here wouldn't be probably would not be happening. Speaking of which, I think this is going to be the reason. This is going to be the real blackout, right? The real blackout, like I said, is because more people wanted to go towards lies, because really it's like they wanted to go towards what's popular and what seems to have power and what seems to make them comfortable. And so they're rather going to accept the lies to maintain their level of comfort. So they'll rather accept lies than to accept the truth. So what happened is, when you have more people who want to accept lies so they can maintain a level of comfort instead of accepting the truth, then what you have is a blackout. That means the light goes out. Now, it might be a real physical blackout. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be a real physical blackout. But I think there is a spiritual blackout that's happening. Okay, there's a spiritual blackout. Anybody can see that the spirit of man has left the building. There's like literally very little spirit left. That's the blackout. That's the blackout. People have forsaken their true light for comfort. I get it. You live in the United States of America, you ain't used to really struggle like that unless you're a person who didn't have a lot from the beginning. Then it's not nothing new to you, right? Hold on. What I was saying is that, for the most part, people in the United States of America is not used to discomfort like that. So they're going to kind of go along with whatever. And like I said, this is nothing against people. I'm not going against anybody who actually got the vaccine. So this is not to judge anybody. The point I'm making is that people chose comfort over their spirituality. People chose comfort over their higher self. They chose comfort over their own soul and over their own true self. And what has happened is because people chose to go on the side of lies and on the side of media and on the side of the people that's currently in power, instead of really embracing the truth and then becoming more spiritual, building up their spiritual selves, however they decide to do it, coming together, unifying, it's always like people, there's always duality, isn't it? There's always duality. People had a choice to do either or, and they chose the latter. They chose to go with what's comfortable. They chose to go with the lies. They don't care how much you put the truth in front of them. They're going to go with whoever's in power and who's making the rules, and they're going to do what they have to do to maintain their comfort. But the problem with that is what's happening is that these entities never stop. They never stop because what they want is complete control. So they're never stopping. They never stop what they're doing, and things continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse. It's almost like you give them an inch, they take a mile. But in this case, you give them an inch, they take about 15 miles. That's literally what happened. You give them an inch, they take about 15 miles. And this is what happened. And it only gets worse. It only gets worse. Okay. For the people who wanted to make sure they stayed comfortable. Okay. And like I said, I'm not going to hop too much on it, but I do kind of have to say things the way it is. Because listen, some people had to make certain decisions. And like I said, I can't stress this enough. Like when this all initially happened in 2020, or when it was pushed, I get you having to do certain things, and even in 2021. I get you having to do certain things while you're working on building up your spirituality, building up yourself. Because rebelling physically, as in protests and going to the White House and all that stuff, that's not a smart idea. That's just going to get you taken off somewhere, okay? So that's not a smart idea. So what I mean by rebelling is I'm talking about rebelling spiritually, but rebelling spiritually in a way as to get higher in vibration and really work on self and knowledge of self. That was the time to increase the knowledge of self, or just work on increasing knowledge of self, because it's never a finished job, okay? As long as you're here, it's never done, okay? But that was the time to work on that, and that was the time for the people to unite and become more spiritual, right? And then the truth was all over the place. But people can choose whether they want to go to the truth or whether they want to go for whatever's popular on media. Because to be honest with you, the truth is not really popular. So the thing is, if you're a person who's naturally drawn towards the truth, then you automatically get those recommendations, right? Because you're a person who's naturally drawn towards the truth. People who are naturally drawn towards lies and popularity and gossip, they probably they'll sit up and say, well, I didn't know. I don't know these folks. Well, they don't know because energy goes where attention goes, right? Energy flows where attention goes. And if most of the time they are attracted to media and, gossip and a whole bunch of messy stuff, then they might not get the type of alerts that really gives them the real truth, because that's not what they have given their attention to for the most part, right? So they're not going to necessarily get it. And most people probably wanted to give their attention to all kinds of other entertainment. But the truth has been all over the place. The truth has been all over YouTube, right? So what I'm going to do is I want to... this is just one example of one guy's video. His name is Tony Lin. I spoke about him before, TonyLin. He's an Asian guy. And I want to link one of his videos about him comparing the rates of COVID, COV, among the vaccinated and unvaccinated, right? And like I said, this is not to get on the unvaccinated. This is not to hop on the vaccinated or unvaccinated. This is not to make anybody feel bad. But what I'm telling people is that the truth has been around, and it was up for the people to make a decision based on the truth. Most people make decisions based on who's making the rules. Okay? I don't think they fully understood the whole agenda, that is the actual depopulation. That was the actual depopulation right there. What just happened, and the decision people made, they helped to fulfill the depopulation agenda, okay? And so I didn't even really care that, those Georgia Guidestones was destroyed, because all of a sudden it's destroyed now. I think what's happening is that last part is fulfilled. The depopulation agenda just might be fulfilled, and maybe it don't need to be up there no more. they had to get a certain, these entities, these other bloodlines or whatever, had to get a certain number, a certain body count before they were able to go back to wherever they so-called home planet was. I don't know where that is. But they were supposed to get a certain body count too. Now I get that they are facing some kind of judgment among the the Galactic Federation of Light or something like that. They're probably facing some kind of judgment. They're dealing with a different kind of judgment than the judgment people deal with under the laws in the world. They're under different kinds of laws, okay, and they're facing a different kind of judgment. But the point is they were supposed to get a certain body count before they were able to go back, okay? And so maybe the job is fulfilled because all of a sudden during this time, the Georgia Guidestones are just destroyed, you know? And I think everything that has been going on was part of the depopulation agenda, and whether people know it or not, I think the depopulation agenda has already been fulfilled. I think people feel like the depopulation agenda has to do with bodies hitting the floor. But these entities that ran the system, that ran the world, they already knew that the physical world was an illusion. So depopulation is not necessarily about people that physically appears to drop dead. It's not about that. It's literally about killing people, almost spiritually killing people. And so to me, I feel like that's also the real blackout right there. I think that's also the real blackout, and I think that's the real reason why people feel like the devil is going to rule for such and such a time, right? It's going to be like a certain number. It's going to be a certain reign that the devil is going to reign, right? And what it is the devil. It might be a certain ruler. It might be, what they want to call an antichrist. It might be a certain ruler, but it's also going to be because people are no longer going to be connected to spirituality. Okay, so that's also darkness too, and that's also the devil too. And people are going to become very, very evil, and they're going to get into the lower evil versions of themselves as very evil. And a lot of people are going to be getting into those versions of themselves, and that's the real devil. That's the real devil. So anyway, but that's all I want to say. I'm gonna put his video below. Once this video uploads, I'll just stick it below, and I'll talk later. Okay.